So my apologies to all of you that we did not send out an agenda this week. That's my fault, me, Brandy. It's been a crazy build season, so gonna jot down who just joined in there.
6081.
6081. Gotcha.
Awesome. All right. As we've started every call with in the past, let's hope you guys all have a moving robot right now. If you don't, please let us know, send us an email, speak up, whatever you got to do so we can arrange to have someone help you get your robot moving. So I'm hoping all of you guys that are on right now have a moving robot, since a long time ago this has been our #1 thing that we talk about. As far as the robot side goes, you guys should start working on your bumpers this week if you haven't already. I know we've talked for the last couple weeks about ordering your materials and making sure everything gets in. Now's the time you want to build them. Please make sure that you are reading the rules, that you're not just like zip tying some pool noodles to your robot. There are very specific rules. We linked them in last week's notes. We'll link them in again this week. Make sure that you guys are building them within spec. The #1 reason that rookie teams and some sophomore teams, but mostly rookie teams, don't pass inspection is because of their bumpers. You wouldn't think that something so silly would prevent you from competing at the events, but it does, often. So, who else just joined in, please?
Alan James, 6019.
6019. Yep, gotcha.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right, so 2 things we want to talk about. All right, do we just have someone else join?
I'm picking up an echo between you guys.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to make... Sorry, we're using the same phone. Got to pass it back and forth and everything. So, about the bumpers, some of the things that a few teams have called me about and asked questions about is, you know, having the frame perimeter kind of where it is and making sure that you have a support, a structural support behind the bumpers. So a lot of people might have larger wheels and they want to put something in front of it. You can only span 8 inches of unsupported bumper. If there's anything bigger than that, then you need to have some kind of hard support within the bumper zone to make sure your bumpers are touching against. A good example of that was someone had a 12-inch wheel and they needed to have a little bit more supports to make sure they fall within the rule specification. I don't know if anyone has any questions about the bumper rules.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure that that is put in our notes this week, the link to the rules for the bumpers. They were in last week's notes, too. So there are 2 specific... Go ahead.
Sorry, before we move off of bumpers, there's an email sent out with some videos on bumper construction.
Okay.
So
awesome.
That was sent out through FIRST, I believe, or at least FIRST in Michigan.
Yeah, Gail sent out the email, right? So make sure everyone takes a few minutes and takes a look at that. It will probably be really helpful for you guys because as silly as bumpers seem, they're actually really important. They'll protect your robot and help you pass inspection. So does anyone have any questions at all on bumpers? All right. Awesome. So on the robot section, you guys just need to be moving forward with your robot. Continue building any apparatus that you're going to be using, whether it's your ball or your boulder apparatus, your scaling apparatus, your defense maneuvering apparatus, whatever you guys are working on, continue working on that. But there are 2 documents that we specifically want to talk to you about. That you have to do. Well, one of them you have to do, the other one is highly recommended. The first one is your cost accounting worksheet. You have to create and maintain a document that has all of the costs that you use to put into your robot into this. It was previously called a bill of materials. Now they're calling it a cost accounting worksheet. And it is a spreadsheet that FIRST already has put together that you can just download. if you go onto FIRST website, we'll include a link, but I'm just going to tell you how to get to it. Under the season materials, so where you would previously go to download the manuals, look at all that kind of stuff, under the game section, in section 4 under the robot, there's a CAW template file. That is your cost accounting worksheet file. You're going to want to download that. It's an SLSX document, so it's a new Excel document. So when you open it, it will already have all of your formulas and everything in it for you. Super easy to use. All you got to do is put in there. So the hard thing about doing your cost accounting worksheet is you only have to take into consideration the materials that you are using. So say you get a big, huge sheet of metal, and it's a 4x8 sheet, and you only use a square foot of it. You take the cost of the entire big sheet and only take out of it what you're going to use. So you do not have to say that you use, say the whole sheet was $50 and you use 1/5 of it. You only have to say that you use $10 of that metal. You do not have to claim the whole $50. Same thing if, say, you're building your ball manipulator thing out of a certain kind of stock. If you only used 3 feet of a 6-foot section, then you only have to take into consideration the amount that you used. So when you're doing this, just make sure that you take care of that part of it. This is something I believe that the policy on how you have to turn it in is on the sheet. Go ahead, Clint.
The thing with the sheet, when you go through inspection, they will ask you to turn in the form. The other thing that's going to happen is when you're calculating your material sizes, if you're not close to your cost, don't worry about getting it super accurate, right? Like Brandy says, if you buy a 10-foot stick of something and you only use a foot, write it down. But don't worry about getting it to the closest inch. Like, just make an estimate that you do it in good faith and goodwill, that you're trying to account for everything. The inspectors will ask it for you. We usually make a digital copy of it and a paper copy of it. That way, the paper we actually stick in with our robot sign-off sheet that we'll talk about next week, we put it in with that so that when you go through inspection, you have your robot sign-off sheet, you have your, I'm probably going to say bill of materials a lot because that's what it used to be called every year before this, cost accounting worksheet. You'll need to have both of those with you, and if you have it in a same kind of page saver slip, you'll always have it with your robot. Then have a USB file with it on as well, because sometimes the inspectors will ask for you to provide a USB or a digital version of it that they can look over it later. But it's always nice to have a paper copy of it as well.
So it also says on it that this year teams do not have to report individual cost items that are less than $5 or are kit of parts items.
What was that, Jason? Sorry, say that again.
Oh, on the sheet it says that you don't have to report individual cost items that are less than $5 or any of your kit of parts items.
Yeah, that's true. That's what it's been the last few years. Any fasteners like under $5 or anything that's a cost item, you do not have to list and charge it against you. So the Robo Rio, which costs like $450, that doesn't have to necessarily be on there. And same thing goes for your speed controllers that came in your kit of parts. Any additional speed controllers that you purchase should be on that list though.
And then there's what, a $400 single item limit? Is that right?
Yeah, that is correct. You can't have a single item be more than $400. So I'll give you a good example of that is the Andy Mark Rhino track is $329 or something per side. And so you have 2 of them, one for the left side, one for the right side. That's under the $400 limit. But if you were to buy, a kit of parts chassis off the shelf that pre-assemble or not pre-assemble all as one kit, that's like $500 or $600. You couldn't have that. Well, we're lucky that all the rookies get the kit of parts, and that with their kit of parts chassis, they get it with their kit of parts, that doesn't have to count towards your total amount because it came with your kit of parts.
Is there any questions on the cost accounting worksheet?
You from the priority list?
Clint, do you know that? If you pick stuff off the priority list, is that considered kit of parts?
I think that's considered, if it came off that list, it's considered your kit of parts. So you could even make the line item, like normally there's a section, I haven't looked at the form this year, there's a section where it says cost, and I think we've always done KOP if it came from the kit of parts to show that the value is worth 0 or a note saying it's from the kit of parts. So anything you got from first choice, I would also include that as part of the kit of parts.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions?
So if there's no questions, the next thing we need to talk about is the pre-inspection checklist that is also available on FRC's website where you can download all the manuals. This is an inspection checklist that I highly recommend you print it off, and before you bag the robot, you have a mentor ask the questions to some of your students